We are recording and I am screen sharing. Well, this is fab. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us this afternoon. Over the next hour or so, we're going to give you an insight and a bit of an introduction to students as change agents. My name is Al. I'm a Students as Change Agents project manager, and I've been in post for just over a year and a half or so. We also have folk from the team who you'll be able to see because they've got the branding behind them. We've got Vanessa and Christina who make up the team. Hopefully we should be joined by one of our previous student participants as well, who's on the summer program, although I think we might have a previous participant lurking around in the audience as well, so we might throw the challenge there. Right, so what are we going to do today? We are going to learn about Students as Change Agents program. We're going to explore how we link the program to the UN sustainability goals, and then find out about skills that previous participants have developed and what previous participants have said about the program. Hopefully, as I've said, we'll hear from that participant. And then we'll also find out a bit more about the challenges that we're launching in 21. I know you know two of them already. And then we're going to kind of answer questions as well. And just say we're hoping to answer questions at the end. So maybe make a note of them as we go along. How to explain students as change agents? Well, we're interested in having a positive social, environmental, or economic impact. And we want to meet students who want to make that happen. Now, the fact that you've signed up to come to this webinar today suggests that this is also something that interests you a little bit as well. And so we're going to kind of like have a chat over the next hour to see if we're the right fit for each other. So this program helps develop skills and change the world. I think that's the most simplest way of putting it. And yet it's a skills program, but we're also about social change. And it's kind of been built around like 4 principles that data has told us that students want to experience at the university. So if we break that down into 4 bits, so the one is to get the best out of your degree. We absolutely think that participating in this program helps you get the best out of your degree because you start to think in a slightly different way, which can be really beneficial to you when you go back to your degree. Next up, it helps you make friends and build networks. The fact that you will be in a multidisciplinary group with 6 to 7 other students, you'll be meeting us and other professional services staff members at the university, plus you'll be meeting external partners in industry and various sectors that you'll be able to start building your professional network. So we're making friends and building networks then. Thirdly, the program is supported as and when you need it throughout the program. So Vanessa, Christina, myself, the Change Agents team, we're around across the programs to kind of like touch base with you and give you some suggestions about what you may or may not need. But then your group also gets a group coach who can help guide you through the program as well. And then finally, about developing skills for the future. Absolutely, that's another yes for Students as Change Agents. We would say that participating in this program not only helps you get an idea about how you can impact the world around you and to give you a load of different skills in order to do that, but it's something amazing to put on your LinkedIn profile or your CV upon graduation. But I'm assuming you know elements of that, but you might be interested in, yeah, Al, but what's the process? What do I actually have to do and what happens? Well, I would break it down as this, right? So first off, you apply. And so with the applications, this is done through My Career Hub. And the applications for our 2021 program will be live just before winter vacation, and they'll be live up until a week or so before the program starts in February. So they'll be open until January, right? So that's your application process. It's really straightforward, and you're kind of talking to us about why you want to be on Change Agents, and then you're ranking which program you want to do. Hopefully, most applicants will get their first preference challenge question. So once you are on the program, you're then placed into an interdisciplinary group And by interdisciplinary, I mean you're going to be with students from different colleges, different schools, and crucially different levels of study as well. And this makes for diverse groups, which is great. Now I know that diverse groups make better decisions. If you put a group of engineering, let's say 5 or 6 engineering students, 5 or 6 economics students, and 5 or 6 history students in the same group, they will work towards a goal, obviously, but you're not getting that divergence of thought. And that's one of the things that we think is really important to the Change Agent program, and something that students have told us they've really benefited from taking part. Next up, yeah, you get you will go through. You'll also meet your host. So as a team, and everything is delivered online through MS Teams, and that works for distance learners, international students that aren't with us, or if your program at the university has just been decided that there's not going to be any physical stuff next year, and then you choose to go home. So that's all online on MS Teams. And then once we start the content, you meet your challenge host. So you meet your challenge host, and they will explain to you the premise of the challenge. They're not going to be telling you which direction to go in. They're just saying this is a huge, wicked challenge, and they're going to be interested in finding out what you think of it. You'll also get training as a group, and again, this is on Teams, and you go through some training that's been specifically created for the program, and we've partnered with some excellent people to develop it. So the training modules, team dynamics, and that's delivered by the Social Enterprise Academy Scotland. Then we've got some data ones. We've got design and data tool session and an exploring idea session. This has been created by Susie Jarvis, who's a design thinking expert. Then we're back to framing your findings with the Social Enterprise Academy, positive mindsets, which is delivered by people on the Change Agents team, and then how to pitch, which is a module by Edinburgh Innovations. Now, all of these things contribute to how you approach your question, how you use data in your design thinking process to justify your answers, and all the time kind of building confidence with you as well in order to be able to present it to others and ideate for your solutions. And as I've said, the program is supported either by us as the team, or when you meet with your group coach, who will either be an academic or a professional services staff member. Your coach will be there to monitor your progress as a team, and then feedback any questions you may have to me if it's relevant. Another form of support is through other groups. I should say this program, so Students to Change Agents, is not a competition. We are absolutely clear on that. So we want to foster positive avenues of collaboration. And so that often means working with different groups. So they might be doing the same challenge question as you, they might not. But particularly, we do create an opportunity for you to present your ideas and your ideas and your suggestions to other groups, and then they can feed back and give you questions about what they liked or what did you mean by this. We find that works really well as peer support. And then finally, you will be tasked to create your final output, which as a team is to create a short video and an impact style written report, which you will then present to your challenge host. And so that is kind of Change Agents in a nutshell. And that will happen over the period of like 11 weeks from February. So to give you an idea of previous challenge questions, we've had, so how can the regeneration of Craig Miller create intergenerational urban living, promoting social participation? So you're getting the idea there that it's a really big question. We're not expecting any group to actually answer it all, but to give the experts that have set this question kind of different thought processes and different elements that they can think about. We've also had, how can the construction industry use digital tech to contribute to the circular economy? So one question and the same data sets and the same training kind of came up with some really different ideas, whether it was the using AI to take photos of waste and to generate an idea of cost savings, right through to the Uber of waste construction. We've also asked the question, how can Scotland change to reduce youth homelessness? Again, we've had really different approaches to how to create solutions for this, using the same data set and the same training. Some are focused on rural homelessness, some are focused on mental health, some on connections for young people, and others are focused particularly on the LGBTQI community that present as homeless. And so you can start to see that actually it really is the groups that drive the direction of the ideation. And also in someone we asked about how Edinburgh might become environmentally sustainable within its tourism post-COVID-19. So there's a range of questions as an examples there. And these are some screenshots of outputs that students have created. So the top, you've got front pages from the impact style written reports. And down the bottom, you've got screenshots from videos that people have created. I should say that this is a program where people come in and develop skills in multimedia creation as well, and doing that while working as part of the team. So that's kind of a snapshot into students as change agents in the process. And I'm now going to pass over to Vanessa, who is going to talk through, so Vanessa's from SRS, she'll do this. And she's going to talk about UN SDGs. Over to you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, so I'm Vanessa, I work on the team, but I also work at the university's Department for Social Responsibility and Sustainability. So I'm the one who's going to talk to you about the Sustainable Development Goals that Al mentioned a little bit earlier. But just to begin with, I'd like to get an idea who knows about the SDGs already and how much you know about them. So if you haven't already, if you use the chat function, which is sort of icon at the bottom of your screen, and if you can type into the chat function between 1 and 10 to indicate how much you know about the SDGs. So 1 if you don't know very much, and 10 if you know a lot. And don't worry, I'm not going to pick on anyone. So if you want to put a higher number, that is absolutely fine. Ooh, Al's gone with a 7. Very good. Won't pick on you. Anyone else between 1 and 10? Oh, great. Thanks, Adara. Okay, great. Lovely. Okay, that's great. So that's quite a range, which is interesting, but it's great you've all heard of them. So actually, it also helps because it means that my presentation I'm just going to share with you in a moment will be relevant, which is always good to know. So I'll hopefully let you know a little bit more about them. Okay, I'm hoping that everyone can see the first slide. Great. Okay, so as you can see from the first slide, so I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to run through 3 key messages with you. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the SDGs in the context of the program, so the Students as Change Agents programs. And the reason for that is that every time we have a challenge partner that presents a challenge question, it will always be working towards or align with at least one of the SDGs. And we do this so partly so that you actually get to work on one of the goals, but also so that it begins or starts to become clear about how sustainability can be and should be part of business, and just generally about how we live our lives. Oops, skipped over there. Okay. Another interesting thing is the actual title of the program. So it's called the Students as Change Agents, and that idea of change is a really important one because the SDGs are all about making transformational change. So a bit of background, the SDGs came into fruition in 2012 and then adopted in 2015, and they span across an amazing range of aspirations, as you can see with all the SDGs there in the boxes. So what's also fantastic is that 193 member states, or all 193, I should say, member states of the United Nations countries have signed up to the SDGs. And they've done this to help reset the direction of the world economy. So at the moment, you probably already know, but it's a world economy of widening inequalities and social exclusion, and definitely massive environmental threats. So the SDGs are hoping to reset and change that trajectory to one that is more about sustainable development, and especially things like keeping the environment safe, because once we've attained them, we should have at that point changed the way our industries and technologies are impinging on the physical Earth processes. So that's, as I'm sure you've agree, is a really important work to be done, and is the reason why we include the SDGs as part of the education on this programme. So it's really important for you as students to learn those skills, to allow you to create the type of change that is needed, but also to give you that kind of confidence that you've got the agency to do it. So whether that's at home with your families and friends or in the workplace. Okay, so we've talked about how you can get involved. We've talked about the programme including at least one SDG. So a bit more background about the SDGs and their data story. So Al touched on that you'll be working with data, and that's a key part of the programme. Data helps you to understand the story of what is happening. It allows you to spot trends and report on them, and it also allows you to set targets. So for example, we probably, in the context of the SDGs, we probably want to know how all the countries are getting along with their goals. Are they meeting the goals? If not, why not? So each year, each country submits a report called the Sustainable Development Report, and that's made public so that there's more transparency. And I've taken, you'll see just on the screen there, I've taken a few snippets from the reports to show you how this data can be visualized. But I'd quite like to show you live. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to move over to the website to actually show you what it looks like. So I will just, this may go horribly wrong. We'll wait and see. It went horribly wrong earlier. Okay, hopefully, if someone could give me a thumbs up, if I can. Yep, great, thanks, Al. Hopefully, sorry, not hopefully, we can definitely see that. So what you're looking at the moment is the European version of that report. So Europe's sort of gets grouped together, but it is broken down into countries. So you can see as I hover over the different countries, it shows you a kind of traffic-like system of how they're doing. And this little bar over here that says score, the way that works is the lower the score is towards 0 means it's not just that they're not doing anything, they're actually getting worse for that particular SDG. The yellow means they're roughly staying the same, they're on progress but not improving, and then the green is that they're excelling in that area. So you can see if I pick on the UK, they're around middle of the road. They're not really improving, but not getting worse. And if you look at the ranking down here, the UK is 12th in Europe, and it's quite nice because you can hover over it. So it's good for a resource. So I'll share this link with you later. You can see just little snippets of how it's doing for each one. But if I click into the UK to get that specific information, it's split up into 3 sections. So you've got the current assessment and then trends. So what's generally happening with each SDG, and then these indicators. So it's going down, drilling down into the detail. And all that detail feeds up into telling you what the trends are. So for SDG 9, industry and innovation infrastructure, things are improving. It's going towards that sustainable development that we're looking for. So what's interesting, I don't know if anyone else spotted, for what is quite a wealthy country, it's interesting that there's only one green, and also disappointing, but also interesting that there are four reds. And this is if you look up to the left, this is a 2019 report, which is pre-COVID. So this year, unfortunately, across all countries, the SDGs have got worse than previous years, because of the impact on COVID. So I'll leave it there for now, as I'm just coming to the end of my section, but I wanted to show you this, and I will grab the link and share it with you in the chat so you can have a look. But the reason I wanted to show you this is that this is the way that data can be visualized, and this is the way that you and your group might decide to represent something either in the video or in your report. But certainly the data coaches would help to explain and sort of show you how you can do that. So yeah, I think that's it from me now, but I hope you found that interesting. I'll stop sharing for now, and I'll hand over to Christina. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Vanessa. I'm gonna just share my screen, so just give me a second. Okay, I should be able to see my PowerPoint now. Is that correct? Okay, great. So thanks, Vanessa and Al, for kicking us off, giving us an overview of the Change Agent program, kind of what's it about, what are you going to potentially expect in terms of the modules, and then also how the Sustainable Development Goals kind of connect to each challenge question. So my name is Christina, and I'm a PhD student in global health policy, and then in an internship program, I've been working with students as change agents for about two years now as a program assistant. And so I'm just going to be providing a bit of further insight about what you can expect to get out of the program in terms of personal, academic, and professional development. So I just thought it'd be good to start off with this quote that comes from one of our past participants from this past summer, actually, our online program that ran in June. So I'll just read it out now. I thought it was a fantastic opportunity during the current circumstances to be part of something that was so much more than something that could look good on a CV. Through participating in the program, I really pushed myself to enhance my own skill set whilst working with a really amazing team who I'm planning to meet up with back in September back in Edinburgh. And the reason why I chose this quote is because I think it just really captures the students as change agents experience. You know, of course, it's something, you know, another program, another, you know, opportunity that you could put on your CV or include in a job interview, you know, in terms of skills or things like that. But even more than those kind of things, I think it offers a really holistic learning experience where you get to develop skill sets, both new and old, as well as kind of get to meet new people throughout the university, whether that's students or that's your mentors or group coaches, and then even people beyond that, and how it kind of has both an immediate impact as well as a future impact. You know, for example, this student who's, you know, still keen to stay in touch and involved with the people that they got a chance to work with during the summer. So in terms of skills development, I just thought it would be good to break it into kind of three sections: personal development, academic development, and professional development. You know, with change agents, you can really develop all kinds of skills depending on what you want to focus on. But these are kind of three areas that students have noted seeing you know, really good improvements. And then kind of I just included some quotes that kind of capture kind of each section on the side, but I'll just go through a couple of the highlighted skills that students really emphasize that they've developed in. So in terms of personal development, teamworking and communication have been really highly rated skills that students have been a part of. And teamworking and communication are, you know, have experienced a new level because of all this online working. You know, it's challenging, you know, to just work in a group normally, especially if your studies kind of are contained to, you know, just individual work. You know, you have your lab set or your lab station, or, you know, you're only working on one problem set, but, you know, maybe you don't get a chance to really talk with and discuss problem solving with other people. And so, you know, you have this opportunity here. And now it's even potentially more challenging because it's an online environment, and, you know, it's awkward, you know, with the silences, or you're not really sure, like, you know, who's going to speak next with online working. And kind of change agents allows you to practice that skill in kind of real time. And so that kind of just builds your confidence and also resilience. You know, these things are challenging and not easy, but you learn, you kind of have this environment here where you're not being marked. You're not gonna, you know, you're not going to have to be afraid to fail. You can just try new things and kind of learn from that whole experience and that process. And so also in terms of academic development, like I just mentioned a bit, you can have the chance to work with students across the university. So, you know, whether you're in the humanities, or you're more like engineering student, or, you know, biology or something, you get a chance to experience what other students how they might think, and how they might work on certain problems, which could be completely different than your own, and kind of change your perspectives, which is a really cool and unique opportunity that not a lot of university programs offer. And so in this process as well, like you could work on your data skills, kind of being able to interpret data sets, kind of understand, what is the nature of data? Is it information? Does it look like numbers, or is it so much more than that? Could it be pictures? Things along those lines. So it kind of just gets your thinking cap on, and and you get to change your hats in a way, and think about things in different ways. And then in terms of professional development, you kind of get that exposure to your external partners who are the challenge hosts. So you kind of get a taste about what their program or what their professional environments look like, as well as kind of what challenges that they may face normally, or what they're kind of struggling to figure out. So you kind of get a bit of insight into that, as well as kind of make connections in that way. Which can be helpful for future contacts, or developing your problem approach even further. And then also with the group coaches that Al mentioned, you kind of get exposed to university academics, or just people in the university, in SRS or other programs, who could be other contacts for you to build your professional network. Furthermore, you have your students that you just get to meet new friends, and get to have other people that you could collaborate on various things in the future. And so it's all about kind of harnessing your opportunities and really taking advantage of everything that change agents can offer. So this is kind of just like a slide to show the data behind that, where students have already said that their experience with change agents both immediately kind of impacted their skill sets and their confidence in different things, as well as how they could see in the future it affecting it. So in terms of their university studies, in terms of professional development, as well as in their future careers. So it's kind of just a good visual look to see, some students already started doing, started adding it to their daily life, and then some are just planning on using it in the future. And then finally, kind of just, in case all these different skills aren't enough and you'd like some formal recognition, you could do the program through the Edinburgh Award or the student-led individually created course, a SLIC. So both of these programs are similar in terms of using reflection as a tool for learning. Kind of, you pick a couple skill sets that you want to work on, and then you kind of reflect throughout the program on how they're improving, what are the challenges that you're facing, and kind of using that as a way to personally, academically, professionally develop for the future. And so the Edinburgh Award is a bit more open for different opportunities and different student levels, whereas the SLIC, because it's for course credit, it's a bit more restricted in terms of how it works, and it's only open to first and second year undergraduate students. So if you want to find out more information about that, you could visit those links, or potentially ask us later in the session Q&A. But yeah, that's kind of a quick summary of what kind of things that students as change agents can offer. So I'll just send it back to Al now.
Amazing. Thanks, Christina and Vanessa. So now we are going to hear from one of our summer participants. So I'm going to ask Nathan to switch his camera on, and hopefully he's going to, there he is, guess that halls, we'll play that game. So Nathan, over to you, and just kind of like talk us through your experience. That'd be great. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Al. Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm a third-year biologist. Yeah, I plan to study zoology in my last year. Yeah, I mean, I joined the Students as Change Agent this summer. And I guess one of the main reasons why I joined it is because the title really interests me, because I wanted to be a person who creates change in the society. And like, I just want to know, like, what are the processes that are required to do that? And like, what are the thought processes that I could go to like become that person? But like I guess one of the biggest reasons to join Sacha this summer was also because I was stuck in Edinburgh. And like, it was like one of the ways to keep me sane and keep like a structure in my life, instead of like just going the day like thinking like, oh my god, what am I gonna do next? Like, I don't know what to do, and like all those kind of stuff. So I was like really grateful that I got into the program, but yeah, I took the youth homelessness challenge this summer, it was completely out of my league because like I studied biology and like it was, I mean, it was like a more humanities subject, and like everyone in that group was studying law or like sociology, and I was like, it kind of intimidated me at first because I mean, I didn't know what this subject was about, and like I just didn't know how to approach it. I was so used to like thinking about the scientific world instead of like this human world. So it was like really interesting to like be in that program. And yeah, I guess what I enjoyed most out of that was because like yeah, as Al mentioned earlier, like it was, we were put in a group with like a high diversity of people, and because of that I can learn and like understand where people are coming from. Like we, each of our team like have different ways of approaching the problem, and then we have different ways of working, and it's just very interesting how we get along in the end to produce like a final report and video that I'm really proud of, you know. And yeah, let me just think what else I'm gonna say. um but I guess the thing that I really enjoyed the most during the program is like how well structured it was. So I mean, yeah, I'll mention earlier, like yeah, they're gonna talk about the team dynamics and then all the other important stuff that is required to in that program. But what I really enjoyed most was like the team dynamics, because especially when people are like very different, like they come from a different like background, different ways of thinking, and like different ways of working also usually creates like a challenge to work together. But then because of that session, I feel like it makes the team much better, because like each one of us has their own niche to fill, and like we kind of work with our own strengths, and I think it was great. Yeah, and I guess in terms of like how have I used the program since summer, I guess like it's pretty clear enough because I'm here and talking to people. Like I mean, it was, yeah, it really definitely like develops my confidence in terms of like working with people, and also giving online presentations, which I didn't know that it would come, you know, especially during this semester when all of my teachings are like are studying as an online. It's like, yep, I did that this summer, so it's not that bad kind of thing. So yeah, and I guess I really like to encourage people to join this program because it's, I mean, it's a I think it's a good way to learn and grow in terms of like academic or like professional, like in terms of personal development. I'm pretty sure like there's going to be at least one thing that you'll get out of this program. And one of the quotes that's stuck with me from the program was like, growth and comfort doesn't exist in the same plane. And I was like, yeah, that's so true, you know. I really like that quote. So yeah, I guess just to summarize again, I guess this is a really interesting program that I might join again next semester because I learned so much from it. So yeah, over to you, Al.
That was that was great. Thanks for your kind of honesty and kind of like really lovely insight with that, Nathan. Before we get to the next part where we're throwing it open for some questions, I'm just going to give a run through of what the process is for or what we're up to from February 21. So I'm going to share my screen here a second. So this is what we're up to. So we were hoping to have had all of our questions finalised by now, but we're still waiting on finalising some detail with one or two. But we'll have those in the next couple of weeks. Because you are in this room, and because I know that many of you have also applied to come to one of our other webinars over the next 2 weeks, we have next week, we're meeting with folk from Scottish Music Industry Association with their challenge question: how can music industry in a post-COVID Scotland create jobs and economic growth? So that's that. I mean, I'm really excited for this question because it's, when you think of like the music industry, you might be thinking of bands that are in the charts and touring and stuff like that. But it's such a massive industry. It's like, I think, start off the top of my head, the music industry was worth something like £5.2 billion to the UK economy last year, of which I think £2.5 billion is made up from the live music industry. And the UK, Scotland particularly, used to make so much money from music tourists, because they would come to watch a gig somewhere in Scotland and then do other touristy stuff while they were here. That's taken a huge hit. So within that, you've got venues, musicians that have taken a hit. You've got ensembles and choirs that have taken a hit as well, because they're not being able to perform, and kind of the money that's coming in there. And then you've also, over the summer, there's a group of musicians in Scotland that released a kind of a charity, a benefit album for roadies, because their jobs had obviously just completely vanished over the summer. And so that there is a huge gap there. So what is kind of post-COVID going to mean to it? But also recognising that from January the 1st, that the United Kingdom will officially left the European Union. So what does visa restrictions mean for the music industry in Scotland as well? I mean, how are we, does it mean we're not getting any talent coming in? Does it mean that Scottish talent can't go across to Europe? Have we made it too difficult there? So what are some of the options that can happen there? It's really, if we talk about wicked real world knotty problems and change agents, there's one right there. Talking of another, we're really excited to be partnering with the Scottish Refugee Council. So in 2 weeks' time, we've got folk from the Refugee Council coming along to talk and to set the challenge of how can we build a fair and welcoming Scotland for refugees and asylum seekers. Now, this question directly links to the Scottish Refugee Council's strategic plan, and one of their visions that they want to achieve as an organisation. So how can we do that? I mean, is it about information? Is it about communities? Is there technology that can be used to influence and kind of make it as a country, make it more fair and welcoming? Who knows? I mean, so we're going to start to explore the challenges that refugees and asylum seekers face, and then try and find out if there are opportunities to change elements of Scotland, whether it might be policy, it might be community based. So again, it's a huge challenge question, and one that we're really excited to welcome on board for February. And then so the other two of the other partners we're working with at the moment. So we're working with Link Housing Association. So Link Housing Association kind of provides social housing for tenants in Scotland. So it's affordable housing. They are looking to pose a question that might be on fuel poverty, but it might be on carbon emissions. So they're just going to kind of go around and finalise a couple of bits on their side. But don't be surprised if we see Link Housing Association crop up in a couple of challenges over the next couple of years. And then finally, we're hoping to be partnering with the UN Global Partnership to End Violence again. And so they will be looking at something that will be global and about developing communities or national action about ending violence. So they appeared in our first pilot program nearly 2 years ago. We had, on the back of the Change Agents program that was delivered with them, we actually had some of the group that took that challenge present online to a UN conference that was being hosted in Malaysia. So that's the ideas are used. That's what I want to get across when talking about the global partnership. And then we've got another partner coming on board. We're doing some work with the business school next semester as well. So we're just finalising some of the challenge partners. But hopefully, if it's not one of the first two that we've finalised the question for already, there is one of interest for you there. In terms of what happens, so next year our programme is running from February. We're starting the week commencing the 1st of February, and we are running until spring vacation. So we will have the final presentation events across the week commencing the 4th of April. So you'll have had final teaching block finishes, and then this is semester end and semester break. Hopefully we'll be able to create some decent space for you to spend some time presenting your ideas and having a really good kind of, it almost feel like an online conference for each challenge question or feedback, which I think will be pretty cool. I should say this is for the co-curricular version. So yeah, you can take this and alongside Achieve Slick if you're in first and second year, or your Edinburgh Award for any other student, or indeed if you're first, second year. So we expect across February to week commencing 4th of April, that you'll probably be putting in about 50 hours, which will maybe range from about 5, like 3 or 4 a week to 5 or 6, averaging around about 5, right? We think that this is a flexible program and can fit around your studies, your caring or parental responsibilities, or what I'm trying to say is it can fit around your life outside of kind of work and university. So what's going to happen with training materials, we're going to give a structure as to what will happen each week. And then we're going to say that the training content for this week is available from the Monday or something like that. And then as a group on MS Teams, you'll be able to go in and access it and just arrange a time between yourselves where you can all sit down at a laptop and kind of do the training. We think that's probably going to work quite well. We've got a lot of eyes on us from the university about how we use our asynchronous content. So we're pretty excited about how you use our asynchronous content and give us feedback on it. So how to join us in 21. Applications, as I said, will be live before the winter vacation. And because you've joined us today, I will just send you a link letting you know that they are open and that you can go in and do your application. Right, that's the end of us screaming PowerPoint at you. Thank you very much for bearing with us. Now I just wanted to say, does anyone have any questions? And if you do, please feel free to raise your hand and then I'll come to you, and feel free to do your camera or unmute and ask the question of us. So over to you, future change agents. Okay, so we've had a question from Adara about how do we sign up for the Edinburgh Award? Is the work experience one, or is it a specific one for Sasha? To answer the question, once you've joined, once you've signed up, I will go through and kind of email you again with the change agent Sasha program. So it'll be additional content. It'll most likely be delivered live through me as a conduit to make that happen. So it's not, we're not packaging it in the change agent program as such as we've done previously, but if you'll be asked if you want to do the program as well for the Edinburgh Award, and then we'll make someone from the team contact you and say this is how you do it. We're not missing any deadlines, and particularly it's the deadlines that will come to me as well. So the assignments that you'll create for your Edinburgh Award, most likely you'll submit them via Learn, and I'll have created that space for you to send them to me. And if you haven't sent them to me, then Vanessa, Christina, and myself will be on your back saying, why haven't you sent them to us? So Christina's asked how big are the groups. So we start off, we aim to have around about 6 students to 8 students in a group. And we keep tabs on this because we don't, it's dropped to 4 students before. We don't like it to drop to 4, so we keep an eye on it. 4 is manageable, but we recognise that this program is co-curricular and supplementary to your degree program. So we don't want this to take over and dominate. So we make sure that you have the opportunity to kind of work and balance it out. So that 5-hour average doesn't shoot up. So as an example, in the summer, we had a group that went from a 7 down to a 5 to a 4 to eventually a 3. But we were in conversation with them, and because they had a similar idea to somebody else, we were able to merge their group with somebody else, with another group. So, which actually proved for fantastic peer-to-peer experience of testing ideas. So they won't drop below the 4, and we don't think the more than 8 is appropriate because we want to have everyone to be able to have a decent contribution to the program. Hadara has asked, I'm sorry, Christy, did that answer your question? Nod, excellent. Do you have to be in Edinburgh for the duration? You do not have to be in Edinburgh whatsoever, Doris. You can stay in Wales should the needs be. So we had over the summer, it was particularly designed because students were it was summer vacation, so students were all over the world. So we had students from India, Malaysia, China, and Russia join in, as much as we had them joining in from across Europe, and then Canada, USA, and Brazil. And actually in Africa as well. So you know what? It's one of the great things, and if we are looking for positives in a lockdown world, is that we can be kind of accepting of like different time zones and how we can bring people together. Edinburgh is a global university, and so there are opportunities for this to happen and create collaboration around the world, not just in Edinburgh. Everything is going to be online, as I've said, so it'll be on MS Teams. You'll present your final findings either on Collaborate or Zoom. We'll see what improvements each of those have to their platforms by April. And as Vanessa's also chipped in, as mentioned earlier, that distance learners as well. So one of the things that online distance learners have never really been able to do at the university is to take part in some of this stuff because we do it in classrooms. The world has changed. I, for one, never expect to work 5 days in a row in an office ever again. And so why don't we put that experience into students as change agents and kind of help give you the platform and the skills to do that as well. Any other questions? I'm taking that as a good sign, that I've clearly answered and preempted everything that you would be keen to know. Can I get, Nathan, go for it.
Oh no, sorry, I was just saying, I wasn't asking a question, but I was just like commenting. It was good, sorry.
Oh, sorry. So I was going to say, can I see a show of hands if you are planning to join us for one of the challenges in conversation over the next couple of weeks? To do that, you go to your reactions tab toward the bottom. Excellent. So Nathan's thinking about joining us. Mika, Christy. Super. Excellent. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to those events because it's the first time that we've done things like that. But it'll be a really nice way to kind of like have a soft launch and kind of to get us all thinking about stuff. Vanessa, Christina, have either of you got anything you'd like to add?
I'm not sure if we've, does everyone understand I think you've just mentioned soft launch, but does everyone understand what the challenges in conversation sessions are about? I.e. that there are sort of, as Al said, a soft launch to tell you a bit more about the challenges that we talked about, that Al showed us. I'm just wondering whether to add something there, Al, about we'll be hearing from people from the challenge partners themselves who they'll be liaising with on the project.
Taking silence is good. Likewise, any questions? Christina, do you have anything to add?
Not too much. I think you've done a good job of covering it there. But yeah, I think it just like we've all been saying, and it was nice hearing from Nathaniel as well. It's just to kind of that change agents offers you a lot of exciting opportunities, and both in the immediacy as well as in the grand scheme of the world right now. Getting to learn from different people and have that extra form of connection without kind of I don't know, the implications of grades or things like that. You know, you just get a chance to have some discussion and hopefully have some fun along the way. And yeah, I'm excited for the webinars. You know, we haven't had those before. And sometimes people ask, or sometimes people come into the challenges and they're like, oh, I wish we had a bit more background information or kind of subject level study and stuff like that in terms of the challenge, especially if you're coming at it from a completely different subject field. So these kind of conversations are kind of part of that, where we're bringing together, yeah, the industry partner as well as kind of people either from the university and as like academics, as in the case of like the Refugee Council. One, we have Emma Hill coming from Glimmer project. So she's like a researcher in kind of refugee and migrant workers. And then compared to like in the Scottish music industry one, we have somebody who's working in the data-driven innovation kind of sector, creative industries as a lead there. And so kind of just, we're trying to bring people together. That's the main point of Change Agents. And, you know, we're trying to do that through our webinars as well as, you know, with you all as students.
That's excellent. Well summed up. Thanks, Christina. Okay, so just from me today, thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time. I hope we have enthused you to find out more or indeed apply. Thanks particularly to Nathan for giving up his time today, for coming in and sharing his experience. We will see you hopefully on a programme, if not in the next couple of weeks. You have the Students Change Agents email address if you've got any questions that come to you after this session. Well, but for now, thank you very much for taking part, and we will hope to see you again in the future. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.